Hi, Dr. Shoebreaker, and anybody else that might be watching. It's me, Nancy, and I'm gonna give my book talk. My book talk is on The Portrait of a Lady by Henry James. The main characters are Isabel Archer, Ralph Touchette, Mr. and Mrs. Touchette, Caspar Goodwood, Lord Warburton, Gilbert Osmond, Madame Merle, and Henrietta. They are the ones that appear most frequently in the novel. So the story is about Isabel Archer. She's an American and she's very independent and she values that a lot. She's scared of marriage because she feels that if she gets married, that's going to be taken away. And she kind of had a disorganized upbringing, but she was allowed to be like the way she is. But her aunt comes and visits in America and decides to take her back to Europe. And this is the first time she meets her cousin Ralph, and Ralph is very fond of her. So they become really close. But then right before she comes to Europe, it's implied that she is proposed to by a man, which is Caspar, but she doesn't want to give him a definite answer, so she takes her time and she goes to Europe, but then she gets approached again by another man, and it just scares her. The fear of getting married scares her, and she feels like it'll be, her independence will be taken away, and she just kind of wants to live life going through it in the motion, not being told what to do or have any restraints. And that's a lot of what her life is like. But the weird thing I noticed about Isabel is that she does seem to admire some people that throughout the novel that have conformed. So it's kind of contradictory to what her beliefs are. And Henrietta plays a big role in pushing that and for making Isabel not forget what her true beliefs are, because she does see that Isabel has changed once she got to Europe. And so that's her life. She does finally get married, even though a lot of the people around her warned her not to. And she isn't happy in her marriage, but she won't leave it because she is determined to stay true to her vows. And she does have she ends up having a hard life. So she goes from in the beginning innocent to being happy or whatever, not having any hardships, and then she does experience a lot later on in life. The major themes I thought were America versus Europe, conformity, independence, marriage, feminism, and morality. America versus Europe, it's seen throughout a lot of the novel because it's constantly the values Americans has versus the values Europe has. America being more modern, they're trying to get away from the expectations of any roles society has on people. And conformity, again, because Isabel doesn't want to conform to the typical woman, but then we see her kind of do that towards the end. And independence, because she is, one of her major struggles is, should she marry, should she not marry? If she marries, is she going to lose her independence? So again, marriage is also another theme, because that's what she contemplates a lot throughout the novel. And feminism, just because Gilbert, the man she does end up marrying, he stresses a lot what a woman, their roles are, and he expects his daughter to obey him and he expects Isabel to obey him. So a lot of it are the expectations on women. And morality, because Isabel does, she always tends to do what she thinks is right, and she doesn't want to go against doing what is wrong. So sometimes what is expected of her isn't what she feels what is right for her to do. And symbols, um, I did money or inheritance because she's left with a large sum of money after her uncle dies, and that was her key to her independence, to keep her independence and to be able to see the world and not have to marry for a man for money. So that is like a key symbol, I thought. And art. Um, Her husband is very into art, and it kind of just symbolizes him being superficial and not really caring. For book comparisons, even though the storylines are not the same, like some of the themes are, so I picked My Antonia just because Antonia, she doesn't fit the typical woman. She has a hard life and she does a lot of work, so I just felt like the going against conformity was a theme in that book that was similar to themes in The Portrait of a Lady. And The House of Mirth, just because marriage is a big theme in both books, even though Lily Bart knows that is her solution because she's so in depth, but marriage is a big issue weighing on the females in the stories. So for recommended grade level, I didn't think it was a hard book to read, but the themes and the storyline, I thought kids would probably have to be a little bit older to appreciate it. Like feminism and the modern woman in America versus Europe. So I chose 11th and 12th grade. And for assignments, I thought the students could write an essay arguing which was the best suitor for Isabella, the one she has. And for a creative writing assignment, to write a made-up story depicting the life of what life is for Isabel had she chose not to marry Osmond. And for art assignment, since it is called Portrait of a Lady, the students could draw a portrait of what they imagine Isabel Archer to look like, and then have them insert their favorite quote from the book or make up a line that they could imagine Isabel saying. And for discussion questions, do you think Isabel could have kept her independence if she had married any other of the men in the story? I do think Caspar and Lord Warburton would have been, both of those would have been better choices, obviously, because Gilbert ended up being a terrible husband. But Caspar, just because he was an American and she would have probably come back to America, and just the way of living was different in Europe, and she would have, I think Caspar would have let her, and the same goes for Lord Warburton. I felt like he liked her for the way she was, for her having her own opinion, and he kind of challenged her, and I think he liked that about Isabel. And do you think Madame Merle is as bad as Gilbert Osmond? Throughout the whole novel, I did think she is just as bad. I just felt a little bad for her just because Osmond used her also, but in a way she kind of deserved it. And then, do you think that marriage takes away a person's independence? So, obviously it's different time periods. Then, I think it would have, but I still feel like if Isabel would have married any other man, she could have still kept her independence, because we do have the example of her aunt. Her aunt and her uncle had not the best marriage, but the aunt was able to travel and I think only spent a month with her husband, a year. So I don't necessarily think it would have. And today, while I don't think marriage takes away a person's independence, because I think we all still want to be our own people. Marriage is just like a situation. And that is my book talk. Thank you. Bye-bye.